continued to react to it, he would still be throwing.
A lot of pins up front.
Punches.
What Banks said just to calm. Whyte not having any of it. White's lost control.
Doesn't want to get disqualified.
Pride of the UK, the undefeated Commonwealth heavyweight champion.
In the capital as two unbeaten giants collide.
Anthony Joshua and Dillian Whyte had been simmering for months, a tension born from the simple, yet ferocious truth. Two unbeaten British heavyweights, each with a claim to dominance, were about to collide in the very heart of London. North versus South. Tradition versus ambition. Pride versus hunger. The capital was calling, and when the bell rang at the O2 Arena, it would not just be a fight. It would be a war, a raw test of power, will, and endurance. From the blue corner, Anthony Joshua, the towering Olympic gold medalist, walked out to a roar of approval, his presence impossible to ignore. At 17 stone 7 pounds, he carried with him the weight of expectation, the weight of an undefeated professional record. 14 fights, 14 victories, 14 knockouts. Each win had been a demonstration of precision, of devastating power. Joshua was more than a boxer. He was a phenomenon, a symbol of British pride, the Commonwealth heavyweight champion standing tall with the WBC International Championship secured around his waist. Across the ring, the air darkened with anticipation as Dillian Whyte emerged from the shadows. Known as the body snatcher, he brought a quiet menace, a different kind of danger. Weighing in at 17 stone 9 pounds, Whyte was no stranger to destruction himself. 16 professional fights, 16 victories, 13 knockouts, 12 consecutive KOs in his last dozen matches. From Brixton, he carried the grit of the streets, the ferocity of a fighter who had clawed his way to the top. The WBC International silver belt sat on his shoulder as a reminder. He belonged in this conversation, and he had come to prove it once and for all. The tension in the arena was electric. The fighters disappeared behind the curtains for their final preparations. Each breath, each movement, each mental calculation was amplified by the millions watching. Seconds felt like hours as the first round approached, the stakes impossible to overstate. As the bell rang, the two men closed the distance immediately, instinct and aggression guiding them into the heart of combat. Joshua, disciplined, began cautiously, measuring distance with jabs that tested Whyte's defenses. But it didn't take long for the first sparks of chaos. Whyte, ever the relentless challenger, pressed forward with a combination that left Joshua momentarily off balance. For the first time in his professional career, Joshua tasted vulnerability. His legs felt heavy, his reactions slightly delayed. The crowd could sense it. This was no easy victory, no exhibition. This was a battle. Whyte's punches were sharp, precise, and strategically placed. Body shots that drew gasps, hooks that tested Joshua's famed chin. Each exchange told a story, the contrast between raw power and calculated force. Joshua gritted his teeth, relying on instinct honed through years of elite competition, but he was forced into unfamiliar territory. Every step backward was a measure of survival, every punch a statement of resilience. Whyte, as his supporters chanted, was relentless, never allowing Joshua the comfort of a simple jab or a predictable combination. He fought with heart, with courage, with a kind of ferocity that could turn expectation on its head. The second round escalated into pure drama. Joshua's trademark power shots landed, cracking against Whyte's defenses, yet each blow seemed to fuel the Brixton fighter rather than deter him. Whyte's stamina and courage were remarkable. He absorbed what would have floored lesser men and responded with precision counters that rattled Joshua's frame. For the first time, commentators, fans, and critics alike were forced to consider a narrative that few had dared to imagine. Joshua might not steamroll his opponent tonight. This was a test unlike any he had faced before, a reminder that even the most decorated fighters are human, subject to the limits of endurance and the unpredictability of combat. Moments of brilliance from Joshua punctuated the round. A right uppercut followed by a straight left staggered Whyte slightly, eliciting gasps from the crowd. But the body shots, the relentless jab combinations from Whyte, kept Joshua off balance, reminding everyone that in this ring, dominance could shift with a single swing. Whyte's strategy was clear. Exploit openings, force Joshua to react, wear him down with both precision and persistence. And it worked, in the most thrilling, nerve-wracking way. By the middle rounds, the fight had transformed into something approaching legend. Neither fighter was merely exchanging punches. They were engaging in a psychological duel. Joshua's confidence, usually unshakable, was tested as he found himself extended, muscles burning, his trademark single-shot knockouts elusive. Whyte, meanwhile, was stepping into uncharted territory as well. He had never faced a man of Joshua's size, speed, and power with such relentless consistency. Both men were being pushed to their physical and mental limits, and the arena felt as though it were holding its collective breath, watching history unfold in real time. The narrative of the fight shifted repeatedly. Joshua would land a crushing hook, and Whyte would respond with a body shot that drew cheers and groans alike. Joshua's breathing grew heavier, his legs slightly less sure, but his precision remained. Whyte, showing remarkable fortitude, kept advancing, refusing to yield. Each bell, each pause, each round added tension to a story that was no longer about technique alone. It was about willpower, about pride, about proving who belonged at the pinnacle of heavyweight boxing. And then came the breakthrough, the moment when the drama reached its climax. A series of exchanges, calculated and fierce, led to Joshua finding the perfect opening. A crisp right hand, precise, unrelenting, caught Whyte cleanly. The arena erupted, sensing the inevitable. Joshua followed up with a devastating uppercut, one fueled not just by power, but by months, even years, of frustration, expectation, and preparation. The impact was absolute. Whyte went down. The fight, intense and grueling, concluded in a single definitive moment that would echo through the annals of British boxing history. The aftermath was as electric as the fight itself. Joshua, victorious but tested like never before, raised his arms, not in casual triumph but as a declaration. He had endured, he had adapted, he had overcome. Whyte, battered but unbroken in spirit, exemplified what it meant to fight with heart, to face adversity head-on even when the odds seemed insurmountable. The two men, despite the brutality of what had just transpired, shared a moment of mutual respect, a recognition that in the ring, greatness is defined not merely by victory, but by the courage and resilience displayed in pursuit of it. For the fans, for the commentators, for the next generation of boxers watching from living rooms, gyms, and arenas around the world, this fight would serve as a benchmark. It was a reminder that boxing is not merely about physical domination, but about strategy, endurance, heart, and the relentless pursuit of mastery. Anthony Joshua's legend was enhanced, tempered by the fire of Dillian Whyte's challenge, while Whyte himself had cemented his place among the elite, proving that in the heavyweight division, no victory is guaranteed and no warrior can be underestimated. As the night concluded, the echoes of the crowd, the flashes of cameras, and the adrenaline still pulsing in the arena created a tableau worthy of cinematic storytelling. Anthony Joshua had triumphed, yes, but only after facing adversity unlike any before in his professional career. Dillian Whyte had tested him, exposed him, challenged him, and in doing so elevated the sport itself. It was a collision of wills, a battle of giants, and a testament to the drama, unpredictability, and raw emotion that boxing provides in its purest form. In reflecting on this fight, one cannot help but ask, how far can Anthony Joshua rise? Will he evolve further from the lessons of tonight, turning vulnerability into invincibility? And Dillian Whyte, how will this challenge shape the next chapter of his career, and what lessons has he drawn from standing toe-to-toe with an Olympic champion and proving his mettle? For those watching, this fight was more than a spectacle. It was a story of preparation meeting opportunity, of pride meeting perseverance, and of two men willing to risk everything in the pursuit of greatness. As the lights dimmed and the fans began to leave, the narrative lingered, vivid and indelible. Every punch, every gasp, every moment of tension had contributed to a tale that would be told and retold, a story of triumph, struggle, and the unrelenting human spirit. If you've ever wondered what it truly means to be tested to your limits, to face an adversary who refuses to yield, then this fight provided the answer. And as we look to the future, the question remains, who will step into the ring next, and who will rise to the challenge that Joshua and Whyte so dramatically set for the world? Let us know in the comments below who you think can take on Anthony Joshua in the future. And don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the biggest battles in boxing history.